And recording.
All right. I'm going to do something with the intro here, sort of bridge the gap a little bit. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 17 of Cinema Ministry. We are your comrades of cinema, here to talk to you, about all the movies and shows we've been watching lately as three friends of over a decade trying to get to know each other better through the media we consume. That's a little. We're debating a name change, and Comrades of Cinema is the other name. So I'm like, well, throw that out a few times and maybe transition into a new era.
I feel like you should have said, and as always, we're comrades in cinema, so we could have retconned it, like we've always. No, so since the beginning, actually, you should go back and listen. Maybe you didn't pay attention. We say it.
Well, let's go ahead and start off with our media mashup today. I will go first, and my wife and I just decided one night we were going to finally start a show. Chad's already talked about Knights of the Seven Kingdoms, I guess, and I didn't, I was like, I've heard good things. Chad said it was good. I'm just sort of checked out of Game of Thrones as like a whole. So I was like, okay, we'll watch this, whatever. It is so good. It is awesome, and it does something I kind of wish more shows would do. Because this basically, it had the violence and it had the seriousness of Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon, but overall, I would kind of say this is just a comedy. And it's because it's very funny. The whole thing is very funny. There are those moments of like bring you crashing back to earth as you're like, oh, this is still in the Game of Thrones world. But it's very funny. It's very good. It has my favorite character in the entire Game of Thrones. It's like between all three shows.
Can I guess?
Sir Lionel Baratheon. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Lionel Baratheon is the fucking man, dude. I loved him so much.
I think I even said there's a character that Josh specifically will love.
Yep.
But yeah.
It didn't hurt that he reminded me of Father Paul from Midnight Mass, who I also love. But he was hysterical the whole time. I loved him. The two leads, Egg and Duncan, obviously incredible. I did know something about Egg before that I wasn't supposed to know when I started the show. Didn't take anything away from it really, but it's good to. Lori figured it out like episode 1. It took her no time to be like, I got it.
I knew from the first scene. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it's really great. I wish more shows would sort of branch out in more interesting ways. I think too often when you have spin-off shows, they try to, like House of the Dragon, despite me liking it, a lot of times when shows spin off, like off Game of Thrones, they're like, well, we have to be Game of Thrones still. So we have to have all of the, like, the political back and forth, the fighting over like all of the same stuff. And I like that this show is like, we're not doing any of that. It's a totally different thing. We're going to be fully separate and have a different tone, feel, and vibe to all of it in a way that like it really works. And it doesn't feel like disconnected. It still feels like, yeah, it's part of that world. But they've really given it its own distinct identity. And I wish more shows that attempt to spin off would do stuff like that. Because I think it makes a lot of great additional content as you go through. Brennan is fully frozen, or he is just staring dead set at me. Oh, there he goes. Okay.
I was Googling stuff. I was like,
yeah. So, Brennan, close your ears for a second. So when I initially had this as my media mashup, I said that I lied during one part of what I said, but there's actually multiple lies within that lie. But I wanted to see, your reaction to some of them. But
I'll have to go re-listen to what you said about it, because for us that was like 2 months ago at this point.
Yeah, classic me recommend somebody else watch timeline. But
Yeah.
well, I'm glad we'll definitely have time to talk about it in the coming days. So
yeah, that was big fan. Definitely recommend. And it was a breeze. The only regret I had is we started it at like, I don't know, like 10 o'clock, 10:15. And at about 1 a.m. we were like, we gotta be up for work tomorrow. We gotta stop with an episode and a half left.
oh,
Because
really?
we were like, we're gonna watch one more episode. Like, we're just gonna watch this one more because it was a great cliffhanger. And then pretty quickly we realized, son of a bitch, this is gonna be a flashback episode. We're not gonna get the conclusion we want, and if we watch this, we're gonna have to watch another one. So we just stopped there and finished it the next day. But it's a very easy sit down and finish it in probably like 5-6 hours. You knock the whole thing out.
Even less than that. It's 6 episodes, and they're like in between a half hour to 45 minutes each. So
yeah, probably like 4.5, I'd say, because there are a couple that are a little longer. But
yeah, like 40 minutes.
Yeah, it's really great stuff.
All right,
So
what do you got for us, Brennan?
So I feel bad because I feel like I've mentioned this one before, but there are multiple versions of the show, and I think I mentioned the American version before, which is I once again was watching this week with my sister. We were watching Traitors. We began to watch the UK version. The difference between the versions actually is, I think, pretty great, just in terms of the American version has all reality stars, and it's got its own appeal. Some of them they kind of have very distinct personalities, and it's kind of fun to watch them interact, I guess. But the problem I have with it is that there's a prize money at the end of the show, and on the reality stars you really get the vibe that they don't give a shit about the money. What's important to them is being on the show. That next day of filming, that next paycheck on that regard, so they almost never bring up the money. And a lot of times what they'll do is, they won't get all the money they're supposed to on like a given challenge. And then at the end of the episode, it's like, cause they've already gotten like these gold pucks. So it's like, they've already got the money. So like, they're going to give them the money. So like, they'll get to like, it's almost like, SNL's, Jeopardy, where it's like, all right, for $50,000, if anyone can rub their belly and pat their head at the same time, you'll get it. Awesome, excellent, perfect. You've made it. Now the funds are full. But we've been watching the UK version, and what I enjoy about that is I think at least it seems to be average Joes, non-famous people, just people who got onto the game show, and you really get a lot more emotion. It's really actually an interesting contrast to watch, because not the reality one is bad, but it's like if you were to watch them side by side, you're like, okay, well, I watched this one with in the UK that is a game show with humans, and they've got emotions and they've got feelings and they have a conscience, and they have hopes and desires. And then I watched this other one with these creatures that definitely looked like humans, and everything was human about them, except I didn't really get it. It's not this, like, the only thing is on the American version, every now and then they will bring in an athlete, and the athlete is the only one who does display human characteristics. They brought in Deontay Wilder for one of the American seasons. He left voluntarily after like 1 week of doing it. He voted someone off who was innocent, which is like happens 15 times a season. Like they're really bad at it. So he voted off someone that was innocent.
That's like the objective for the bad people.
For the bad people, but he was a good person. But like I said, that's still kind of par for the course, because they're not really good at the game. But he's like, I can't do this. He's like, I can't take this. I have to leave. I can't do that. It's like everyone else has no problem. Like everyone else, they'll like interview them before and like, do you want to be a traitor or faithful? And they're like, well, I'm a rotten son of a bitch, so I actually would be good as a traitor. I'm actually naturally deceptive, so traitor would be the way to go. No one can trust me, so I think I should be a traitor. And then here, so like I said, it's worth a watch. It's the people get real emotional, they get real into it. I honestly really want to be not on the show. I want to work on the show. I want to be like a producer on the show. I've got ideas for the show, a few things that could tweak about it that would just improve it a little bit, just like how the prize money works incentive wise. I don't think that, I think there's a few things they could do. And I'm also very curious as to how they film it, like the actual, like how long it takes, how they, go through it. I'm just curious of how they're doing it, and how that affects the actual game that they're playing, and the last thing I'll say about it, which drives me absolutely fucking nuts about it, is that it takes place all in this really beautiful castle, and they don't stay in the castle. And they're not like completely. They don't like completely hide it. Like they're not like they'll say like not like they they'll that they don't like completely come out and be like, yeah, we live in this castle, but they heavily imply that they live in the castle, and they'll do things to make it seem like they live in the castle, but they don't live in the castle. And that just angers me so much because it's like all the things they can do in this castle, but then they just can't sleep in it. I don't know. Anyway, that's it's worth a watch. The UK version is not. She's not. The host isn't Alan Cummings, and Alan Cummings is reason enough to watch the American version. He deserves his outfits alone deserve your viewing. But like,
Chad,
yeah,
have you seen his outfits on the show?
I've seen one.
They're all unreal. I haven't watched the show, but I've seen the galleries, and boy, oh boy,
it is like
so
and
good.
It's insane. He'll change them sometimes. The first few seasons, I feel like he goes real crazy. Like every time he's on screen, a different outfit, bolder and crazier than the last. And then later in the new recent seasons, I feel like it's more like he'll have this crazy outfit, and then he'll just build upon that same outfit throughout the day. Either way, it's great.
I'll say oh, go on.
No, I said the last thing I was going to say is just, and every now and then, it's not often, but every now and then, a contestant will start to try to challenge him, and they'll dress crazy, and it's like he leaves him in the dust in moments. Like it's like it's like, oh, I'll be right back, and then he comes in, he's a peacock.
I was just gonna say, when it comes to like reality shows like this, the UK just does it so much better than we do. It's like between all their like sort of panel shows, like their 8 out of 10 cats, their the Would I Lie to You, the Great Big Quiz of the Year, just like they have so many little shows like that, and it's like we don't have any real version of that here. Which again, like I've talked about Taskmaster and I've talked about Last One Laughing. Neither one of those I want to be an American show, but we don't have anything like that here that I would really compare it to. I guess that's for the best, but yeah, they're doing it right over there.
Yeah, no, and I think like in little doses, reality shows can be fun, especially like it's just can be some good people watching, and like I said, I also just love the game. We call it Mafia, I guess, when we play it, but I just love that game in general. But yeah, that's mine.
All right, Chad, what do you got?
Alrighty, so over the past week, I've listened to and finished a audiobook. It is called American Men by Jordan Ritter Kahn. It's basically an exploration of, kind of what
CON or KAHN?
CONN.
Okay.
It's kind of an exploration of the male loneliness epidemic. It's told through 4 different guys' stories. So when Jordan set out to write this book, he was asking everybody he knew, hey, who do you know that has a great story? So it's not like necessarily his friends or even friends of friends. There's like degrees of separation from him, but he said that he got hundreds of stories and had to narrow it down. He didn't really go into how many he actually wrote, but there's only 4 in the book. And it's it's kind of cliche to say, this is required reading or viewing or whatever, and I don't fully believe that with this, but there is a subset of people that really I feel would get a lot out of this book. Each of the four men whose lives are told in this book, you don't always connect 100% with each of their stories, but you can connect parts of each of them. So maybe one of the stories of the guy being at West Point, it's not really all that relatable for any of us. Like, none of us were in West Point, let alone the military. Like, it's that maybe that part's not, but there's other parts of his story that 100% are. And it's just, so throughout the whole book, it's like, oh, that wasn't exactly what I experienced, but it's something similar. And it, like, there were some parts that were tough. There's one guy, Joseph. He's been he's been through a hell of a lot, and there's a story he tells about his time in the military that just makes you want to find and piss on Dick Cheney's grave so hard.
We need another reason.
I don't know if that takes much. That just takes a bladder full of piss.
Yeah. But I swear, I was so mad while listening to the story at him specifically that I was just, it really highlights, especially that it really highlights the like, might isn't always right sort of mentality that a lot of people nowadays need to hear. And it wasn't an overly emotional book, I would say. It's more like that there's 3 stories that Joseph tells that are very emotional. But towards the end, I was getting more emotional, and like, I'm so happy that these guys' lives are, I wouldn't even say like good, but like they're at peace.
They weren't they weren't sad or bad endings, at least.
Yeah, they were all like
tragic, at least.
It wasn't like they lived happily ever after. It was, they lived ever after.
Yeah, they didn't.
Sometimes that's enough.
They can read this book if they'd like to.
Yeah.
I do have a couple of nitpicks. One is less serious than the other, I would say. The first is that all the 4 main guys, their names are Nate, Ryan, Joseph, and Gideon. And all of the other not characters, but people in their stories, all of their names have been changed, and 2 of the 4 main people, their names have been changed. And it's just like, you couldn't have picked more basic male names besides Gideon. Yes. It was like, oh, Gideon's story is happening right now. Okay, I know what's going on, but it's like, oh, is this Ryan or is this Nate? Like, it just, sometimes it takes a second.
We all know a Gideon, or at least 2 Gideons.
Really burned all the creative fuel on Gideon, and then it was like, fuck, man, I don't know.
The last part, so the guy who narrates the audiobook, I wasn't a huge fan of his,
that's a bummer. Voice?
Yeah. There was a couple things. When he's just saying what's happening in the story or whatever, he's fine. It's not like a grating voice or anything like that. It's when he tries to do like a feminine voice, it doesn't come across great. 2 is when he swears. It sounds like he's never swore before in his entire life, and it feels so unnatural that it kind of
got to swear in an audiobook, Chad. He's excited.
So, so I looked this guy up. I was like, who is why this guy? And he's won like every award that for audiobooks, and I just feel so bad. I'm like, why do I hate him? But like the other thing is like there'll be like there's a couple like bullying stories, and it's like, and the bully said this, and he'll say what the bully said, and then you're like, there's no way that bully said it that way. It
Can
wasn't
you give
like
us an example, or even like if you don't have an exact thing, just say it how he would have said it.
the problem is I would have to say a lot of F slurs. And
Is
Yeah, so
it like is it stuff where you're like no one? Is it like when you see a bully in like a Hollywood movie now, and you're like, no one, that's not a bully, that's a criminal. No one bullies like this. Like,
no, that would be an improvement.
Oh, damn.
The way he says it is very matter of fact. It's not like meant to be intimidating. It's like, no, you are this, and it's like that's not how a bully would say it. Anyways,
Would you think? Let me ask you this: do you think if you were being bullied by him, saying it like he says it, would you feel it was worse delivery and from a victim point of view, or would you feel like you're less afraid of this bully by how he delivers it?
less afraid because you're just
Okay.
like, you wouldn't take him seriously. You'd just be laughing at him.
Part of me was wondering if it was like it was so off that you're like it's actually more disturbing the way he says it. I don't know how he
Yeah.
made.
But yeah, like I said, I found at least parts of stories from each of the four guys highlighted that I could connect to. And like I said, I'm not saying everybody has to read this, but everybody who feels anger or loneliness or kind of a feeling of insecurity or not being good enough, I would definitely recommend. That's just not. Yeah, I'm not saying it has to be a male thing. I feel like anybody could relate to this, but yeah, that's kind of what I spent a lot of time listening to this past week.
when you were saying about the insults and the things that boy would ever say, it just reminded me of a great fucking clip from Hey Arnold.
I got to rewatch that. I've been seeing it on my TikTok a lot, and I'm just like, God damn it! Do I got to give this one a binge?
He's talking to Arnold, and he's like,
I'm tired of being called a fruit cup and a sissy bone fat boy.
and Arnold goes,
Harold, no one's called you that.
and later someone pushes him down and calls him that.
Watch it, you little fruit cup, you sissy bone fat boy. See, I told you someone would call me that.
I remember that
so
one.
funny. It comes up on TikTok every now and again, and it makes me laugh every time. It's so stupid, but it's so funny. Hey Arnold was great.
When you were saying that his delivery for doing a female voice is off, it reminded me of in middle school, like in 6th grade, we'd read books aloud. We have to read, everyone take turns, and I would do voices, and some other people would do, and especially when we do one of the women characters come up, we'd all try to do the deepest voice we could. And my teacher just one time was like, "Have any of you ever spoken to a woman before?"
That's when you answered no.
Like, not yet.
Well, I just added the podcast to the audiobook on Spotify. Reading the little description, it seems interesting. And yeah, the 4 stories, like looking over just a brief description, quite the range of people you've got.
Oh yeah.
Well, Gideon's they got a biblical character. Is he from biblical?
Gideon's a 437-year-old man.
He's got some problems.
He's one of the ones whose name was changed. So, but yeah.
All right, so up next, we're going to debut a new segment called "You've Been Drafted." Little behind the scenes. 3 of us have been in a fantasy football league together for 10 years. I have won twice. Chad has won twice or 3 times.
It's incalculable.
Incalculable. Yeah. I'll tell you what's incalculable. Brennan, how many times have you won?
You can't divide by it.
Hey, I had a good. That's not always a bad thing. I got close. I had a good year.
You did. You had a really good year.
This is my first year where I'd say I was 95% all the way in.
You had a great year, despite the fact that at the draft, people were like, Brennan, what are you doing? And then were you in the championship this year?
No, I think I got to the semi. I got close. I was in the playoffs. I don't know if I might have been one and done in the playoffs. I might have been one and done, but I had a good. I think I was
Better
top.
than me.
I think I was number 4 though in terms of the whole season, or in the top 4.
Yeah.
But
well, yeah. So everyone knows the best part about fantasy football is the draft. That's the most fun, and it's all downhill from there. So we thought we'll do a little bit of that here. So we are going to do a little draft. We're set for 3 rounds. I guess if we go really quick, maybe we'll do a 4th, just like a spring it on you guys. But we are drafting our favorite performances of the movies that we have talked about on this podcast. So the order, as was randomized, I'll show the video here, is going to be me, Brennan, and Chad. And then we will snake back through. So with my first pick, I'm going to go with my favorite performance, obviously. I get carte blanche, and I'm going to pick one that I don't know if you guys would have picked, but I'm picking George Clooney in The Fantastic Mr. Fox as the titular Fantastic Mr. Fox. I think his charisma is unmatched. The way he gives those speeches is perfect. And knowing that he did a lot of basically the motion behind it as well, adds to the performance in a big way. And out of all of them we've seen, there may be some better, but in terms of what I get the most joy out of watching and I like the most, it's that one for sure.
similar to when the Saints traded their entire draft for one player. Bold and poor decision. I'm going to be the Mel Kiper of this.
I get a C-.
Yeah, that's a bold one. I mean, I definitely think with when you see how they filmed and recorded the audio, it does definitely add to it. You could see how that really added to the performance. So I'm second now. Is me?
Yes.
This is a tough one here because first off, I feel very similar to the draft when the Raiders took Jamarcus Russell, and I'm sitting here with Calvin Johnson or Adrian Peterson. I don't know. I think I'm going to go, just because of the draft will do this for youth. And because I think that's a little extra bonus when it comes to her performance in this. Brooklyn Prince, Florida Project.
I was hoping they'd come back to me. That's tough.
With my first pick, I'm going to take my number 1 overall and take Rachel McAdams in Spotlight.
Nice.
All right, and Chad, you're back on the clock.
Let's see.
Get the whole Spotlight crew back to back.
It's between one from that and another one. I'll take Brendan Gleeson in Bruges.
Nice. Is it me now? Is it me back? Is that how we do it?
See.
I didn't hear that you said snake, so I didn't realize. I'm gonna go back for my second choice and last one, which was and I'm gonna pronounce your last name wrong, but Bria Vinait, who played the mother in the Florida Project. So the daughter and the mother. Haley and Mooney. Mooney with the first pick, Haley with my second.
Yeah, that's I was also going to the Florida Project, and I'm going to stick with it. The person I raved about when we talked about it, I'm going to go Willem Dafoe in the Florida Project.
I honestly thought he'd be your first pick.
Same.
I just figured there are other performances that sort of get more screen time and more like to do.
You chose
So
a
I
fox.
Yeah, I stand by the fox.
You chose a stop motion fox. When you meet William Dafoe, you look him in the eyes and you tell him that you chose a fox.
And you know what? He'll be all about
He'll
it.
get it. He would. He would.
Do we want to add another round? Because this went way quick.
I thought we were doing 3 rounds.
I meant like add a 4th round because we're
Fourth
cruising
round.
through it already.
Oh, okay, yeah, we can do that.
I guess
Good,
so.
'cause I have-
I have back-to-back picks.
Yeah, I have 2 more that I really want. I am going to go choosing finally someone outside of a movie I've selected. I'm going to go with Corey Michael Smith from Saturday Night, who played Chevy Chase. Because I think he was great. And the fact that he takes someone so well known as Chevy Chase and you kind of just believe it's him.
Yeah.
That's an incredibly impressive thing. So I thought he was outstanding.
Much like Hamilton, it's like, this is who I want Chevy Chase to be.
Yeah.
This is who I want my founding father. I'd rather my founding father be these people. My pick actually for the movie, I'm gonna go Nicholas Braun though, in the 2 roles that he played in Saturday Night. He played both Jim Henson and he played Andy Kaufman. And he particularly did a great job as Andy Kaufman by not losing his fucking mind while doing it. So, managed to I don't know how he managed, without pretending that he was the reincarnate version of Andy Kaufman. But it can be done. It's nice to know it can be done.
So I get back to back.
Yep.
Alrighty. I'm gonna go with Mark Ruffalo in Spotlight.
Nice.
I was debating with him last round, so I have to take him this round. And then in the 4th round, I'll go Cooper Hoffman in Licorice Pizza.
Nice.
Can I be honest? Actually, I'll wait till Brennan makes his pick.
I'm going to go Jeffrey Rush in either of the films.
You got to pick one.
I'll go with Mystery Men. Very unique character. I mean, can't go wrong either way. I'll go with Mystery Men, though.
Okay. Nice. Now that it's back to me, Chad, every time you went to make your pick, I started preemptively writing John Goodman. And you didn't pick John Goodman at all, which is surprising. I'm also not going to pick John Goodman, though.
I also was just picking on the videos we've released, not just because I couldn't remember the other 5. I could remember 10 Cloverfield Lane, but not any of the other ones. But,
that's what I was. That's what I was googling when Josh was like, "What's Brendan staring at?" I was searching the names of the Florida Project cast.
Okay,
I have a draft list here.
Last pick. Again, this is just a pick of the character I enjoyed the most. I'm going to butcher the pronunciation. Cho Ye-jong, the rich mother from Parasite.
Oh, she was good. She was really good.
I thought she was outstanding, and I loved every.
I mean,
second.
really, like everyone in that movie had a great performance.
Yeah,
also, But yeah, so she really did. She was her just fears of her younger son, and like everything that art means is great.
when the dad finds the underwear in the car, her reaction to that story, the whole thing, so funny.
Does that bring us to?
So that concludes it.
And brings us to the film of the week.
Film of the week, where I can say, had we already talked about this, there probably would have been a pick from me here. So this week, my prompt was what I believe is what I unpopularly believe is the best of a trilogy. When I picked Jordan Peele's Nope. It is, Jordan Peele came on the scene as a comedian. He Mad TV, Key and Peele, various other comedy movies they did together. He is that's what he's known for. And
White
then
nerdy.
Yeah, he came on the scene with Get Out, which was revolutionary and amazing, and I'm not doubting that. I'm I just this movie I it had everything I wanted. Um, obviously we're going to get into a little bit, well, not a little bit, this is the film of the week, we're going to discuss it quite a bit, but first and foremost I want to ask, because Chad, you are not a horror movie guy at all, you've made that very clear. And I know when I picked this, I remember saying unfortunately for you, Chad, and you went and then I said Jordan Peele and you went fuck. So based off your anticipation of it, how was it for you as someone who hates horror, just in terms of like the fear and enjoyment?
So after we recorded last week and that was chosen, I was like, you know what, this week. So usually I watch it the day before we record. I was like, you know what, this weekend I'm gonna, so I can take breaks and that kind of stuff. And this weekend just didn't work out. I couldn't watch it. So then I was like, okay, Monday, and then Monday didn't work out. Okay, Tuesday, and Tuesday didn't work out. So I had to do it Wednesday anyway. And this is gonna be a little bit disappointing, but for the past like week and a half, maybe 2 weeks, my sleep schedule has been utterly fucked. And I kind of go through days where one day I'm good, I'm feeling normal, the next day I'm just tired, like beyond belief. And yesterday was a tired beyond belief day. And today kind of broke the cycle because it's 2 days in a row of being tired beyond belief. And so yesterday when I was watching it, I was like, I was a little over halfway through, and I was like, there's been scary things that have happened, but like I'm too tired to care. So I kind of when I finished it, I had this dilemma: do I try to watch it again in the future to fully experience it, or do I say screw that? I don't need to watch it again, so I won't ever watch it again. But you guys were mostly right. It wasn't the scariest thing in the world, and the horror movies I hate are the full of unnecessary jump scares and sort of grotesque beyond belief body horror stuff. So this wasn't too bad. The only thing is this is kind of a plea. Jordan, make movies other than horror, because you are clearly talented beyond belief, and I wish you would bring a meticulous style to literally any other genre so I can enjoy it in the theater. Please and
No,
thank you.
man, I want more highbrow horror that's like really well made and good, because so much horror is so cheap. Like when you get a good director who can fucking do it, I want all of it. But yeah, like
I don't
we
even know.
said, this wasn't super. I never thought this was super scary, and I remember Brennan said the same thing. He didn't think this was like a particularly scary movie. Though I remember we were on PlayStation this weekend, and I said this movie, despite not being like super scary, has one of the most horrific scenes in a movie at Jupe's Ranch when all the people get sucked up and you cut to like inside Jean Jacket, them getting like digested and hearing like the screams and people like calling out for the people they were there with. And it's like watching that in theaters was like haunting.
No, I do. I'm so happy that they show the inside though, because I was like, it did take that L over the top of just being like, oh fuck, that is like when they're like showing them like go like get real up and close, like basically be digested. Yeah, no, that was I almost like, I don't know, like obviously there are moments like that, but like I feel like I wouldn't even classify this as a horror film. I feel like it's a suspense film, maybe with some horror elements. Because
the Raining Blood is very horror.
But at the same time, though, is it? I feel like though it's also though not scary.
I feel like it's not as scary because it's clear like where it came from. It's not like all of a sudden the walls are oozing blood.
It
It was
felt-
like, yeah,
I guess-
he
it
ate
felt
those
like-
people, and now
It
he's
felt
like
like more. It
spitting
felt like
out
more.
the-
I guess it felt like more spectacle in a way. And I think honestly that whole sequence, because I'd seen this is my second time seeing this one, and I actually kind of like and I enjoyed it. And the first time I watched it, I enjoyed it a lot. I think I felt a little bit like Chad in terms of nothing to do with the movie, but at least this week wasn't, for whatever reason, my week of focus for movies. And I have 2 nights for myself, Saturday and Sunday night, where it's like, these are my best nights to watch a movie in one sitting. And if I miss those nights, whether just being tired or I've actually, if I'm being honest, I've been getting into playing video games again, which kind of comes through every, like once a year, I go for like a month binge of playing some video games. So I've been playing some video games. So that kind of like, I played those the 2 nights and then I kind of just broke up watching the movie. And it wasn't like, it was a movie where it was like, because of, I feel like it's a kind of a, it feels like it's I don't know if I'd say the slower pace, but it takes its time. It's not necessarily in a rush.
Yeah.
And because of that, it would be like I can get into the movie, but I need to commit for like a moment and then I'll get locked in. But like I'm not just gonna fall in because if it's on and I'm not like I can't. I need to be actively paying attention to get locked into at least this time I'm viewing. I need to actively be paying attention to get locked in. And I tried to watch it once or twice, and then like if I was maybe doing something while I was watching it, and it was like, no, that's just not going to work for this film. But I will say that as a filmmaker, you just have such an appreciation for the job that Jordan Peele does. The detail that he goes into with like, I mean, I love the way his movies look. You know, I love the way they're lit, they're shot. One of the things I absolutely loved about this movie, and actually was made me think of how Josh, you were saying, I think it was with Cloverfield, you were having trouble with the lighting. And I do think it was because you're watching on the computer, because I watched half this movie. I watched the whole movie, ended up watching it on my TV, but I watched I tried to watch it at work for like 20 minutes on the computer. And I was like, it was like the scene. I think it was the second abduction scene. Like it was all night. And I was like, when I watched on the TV, I was praising the night, the way they shot night. And I'm watching on my laptop and I'm like, is my laptop even on? Like it's just, but I love how they shot. I almost wonder if they shot day for night sometimes, but nothing brings me more joy than a movie that has a night scene where I know and I can see what is happening, where they light it well. They light it not in a way to hide anything, And I love that. It's why I adored Mad Max Fury Road.
Yes.
Because they do the blue shot at night. I think more films need to do that. I loved it.
Yeah.
But I think I had some, like when we were talking about the sequence of the blood and the eating of the people, there's a part of me that was like, this seems very impractical from a creature's point of view. Like, how long are these people alive inside of you screaming, before they're, is it like, I guess maybe I took it as, I guess the creature was toying with them. Because I was like, there's no way that this creature eats something that then screams in its stomach for like half a day. And it basically only eats the bones and the meat and then just dumps gallons of blood and coins out. I don't think that's just crazy. But
I just really quick want to add to that. One thing I really love, it's a choice that I could see some people being like, why would he have done that? The choice to make it, because, it looks like, oh, there's this alien ship. The choice to be like, no, that's the alien.
Yeah,
like,
no, I love that.
And the way OJ is, because that's like a big theme is like the human versus nature and how OJ treats it the way it's supposed to be treated. And you have to like respect the rules of this wild predator, while Jupe feels like, well, no, I'm special. I have this connection with him, so I can, like, I'm in charge, and they understand that. Like,
He can tame him.
Gordy understood it, and this thing understands it. And well, we just got a big echo coming through.
I just unmuted myself. That might have been why.
But yeah, just like that, the way OJ immediately clocks like, no, that didn't move like a ship; it moved like a creature. And yeah, just a really interesting choice that I really liked. And then, my God, when you watch it turn into a Final Fantasy boss at the end, that was the design for the alien was incredible.
And I love that they didn't. They showed it. They showed it up close. They showed it money
During the
shot. Like
day.
it was during the day,
Yeah, broad
well lit.
daylight.
And it was, and its design was so perfect to where it was like it was something that they could do in the computer. It was something that looked like they could do practically to some effect. And I think, and it was like by the same time, like the creature, you just made it think it was just like it was its skin, it was its body, it was its. It just I loved the way they did the choices they made for the creature. And I will say,
And
like,
they gave it like a tactical hunt mode.
Yeah.
Like when it was trying to like swoop down and pick up, it went more into a sleek, compact design. But then at the end, as it was like almost on defense, that it was being attacked, but as they had like their plan set up, it had to switch into its other form. And it's just
and it also makes sense. Of course, like it would have a creature would have a mode, like where it would get itself as large as it can be.
I think like an octopus, like the way it manipulates its body was, I thought, super cool.
Yeah, the choice to do it during the day is brilliant on two levels. So like, not only is it you can see what's going on, but also that makes it more terrifying. Like it doesn't feel like, oh, this is just a night creature. It's like, no, this could be at any time.
You're not safe ever. At any point, you could be swooped up by this thing if you're not.
Yeah, no, it didn't. Yeah, it clearly did not care about I mean, almost like about hiding in a way. I mean, it hit as a cloud, but like it almost seemed like that was just kind of like it's where it was going to sleep or to rest, if anything.
Yeah.
And that reveal where Angel shows up and it like reveals that he's been spying on him, and they're like, what the fuck? But then when he shows them like that cloud hasn't moved in 12 hours, so good. Such a good little because then rewatching, I watched this 2.5 times since I recommended it. I brought it up Thursday. It's one of my favorite horror movies of all time, top 10 for me. I love it so much. When you watch again, throughout the beginning, you'll see the sky and that cloud is right there, not moving. And it's just like the little things. He's so good at those like little details that you then catch later. Like on his desk, you see the scissors from Us. Just like a little thing where it's like nice little touch there.
And it opens up with showing the shot of the inside of the creature.
But you don't know what it is because you don't know.
But it
anything
transitions
about what the creature is.
It transitions into like that it's a camera lens, and then even when it expands at the end and it's large and it comes forward, I feel like that thing is like almost like a camera sensor that it comes forward with. Like it looked like. I was wondering, I feel like I've seen some videos to talk about it, and I just that I guess what do we think the monster or the creature represents in a way, because on one hand it's like I feel like while yes, OJ and Jupe treat the creature differently, at the same time they're both trying to, well, maybe not OJ as much as his Keke Palmer's character, but they're both trying to exploit the creature. In terms of we have Jupe who's selling tickets. People come out, and we're gonna sacrifice an animal to it, and blah blah blah. And you're gonna see this, and then you have Keke Palmer, who is the entire up until even the very last, where she's getting that final shot on cranking the well, which is some pretty cool shots. She's talking about she's giving this to Oprah.
Mm-hmm.
So on one hand, there's a part of me that thinks that like it was trying to say there was some type of maybe some negativity or some type of harm that could come from trying, because and also like OJ, they made it very clear towards the end of the movie that looking at the creature is a problem. And to me, I was thinking about that, like kind of looking into the camera, like kind of being on camera. And I was wondering if they were trying to make any parallels of like selling your soul or about the industry, or I don't know. I don't know. There's a lot of
I think it was more like treating animals with respect.
Well, at the beginning of the movie, before before you see the beginning, like the inside of the alien, there's a Bible verse: "I will cast abominable filth at you, make you vile, and make you a spectacle." And I think, and this isn't splitting the atom. It's like, I've seen other people post similar stuff, but it's just the concept of that humans are drawn towards like violence and like just like the how you log on to any social media, you'll see 10 videos of fights and awful
If
things
it bleeds,
happening.
it leads.
Yeah, and it's that sort of like, by giving into the spectacle and feeding into it, you let it like take over you, and that negativity that comes with it. And the only way to truly beat that is by avoiding it, like OJ not looking at it, which I also saw. I didn't pick up on this at first, and on rewatch after hearing this, I was like, that tracks. They were like, the choice to have OJ showing like characteristics of being on the autism spectrum, and his like refusal to look anybody in the eye, and he's always like looking down, talking quiet. And the only person who ever really gets anything else out of him is his sister that he grew up with. And that ends up being like a big thing that kind of helps him out, refusing to make eye contact, and that being a theme for him throughout. I really like that. Big shout out to Daniel and Kiki. They were outstanding. Also, another big shout out. If you're a director and you're looking for a side character in your movie, I don't know if there's anyone better than Steven Yeun. He is everything I see him in. I adore him. He is just, I've seen him play such a wide range of roles, and I think he kills every single one of them. This, no exception.
He's one of those characters or actors, whenever they pop up, you're just like, all right, we're in for a treat. We're in for a treat here. I think it's funny in the beginning of the movie how they after the father dies, they kind of argue about like who's kind of worse for the company. It's like, you both are. You both are. If we could somehow combine you, we'd either make the worst person or the best person for this company. Because his inability to talk to anybody or look at anybody, and her like, no, you don't push your other business on the set, like at a safety meeting on the set somewhere else. Like that would not be a good look, And like I didn't understand when she was like, "That's my only chance to get in there," and it's like, no, it's not. Your father had this business his entire life.
You are like the definition of a nepotism hire.
Yeah, like
it should be easy for you.
Like, I mean, the father seemed to be, they made it seem like, he was tolerant. One video I watched was saying they're like, the way they talk about the father made it seem like he was tolerated. And it's like, no, I think they were just annoyed with the fucking kids and they missed the father, but moral of the story is you can't replace Keith David.
I agree.
That's true.
That's my big negative in this movie. Not enough Keith David. Love Keith David. Now here's a guy who can train some horses.
One thing I will tell you, one thing I was watching it, and during the final scene where the thing is its giant form, and they're both and Kiki Palmer's on her bike, and he's on the horse. When I hate when movies, it drives me nuts.
I know where you're going with this. Ain't no way she saw that. Ain't no way she saw that.
I'm like bullshit, and I'm like, Brendan, there's a giant alien creature between them. What part of this are you not buying again? I was like, whenever I see characters look at something or make eye contact or read something or notice something from a distance where you're like, what are they, an eagle? They've just got like just some crazy vision. But
There was a great play off that in Shazam, which is actually a pretty good movie, the first one at least,
yeah.
where they're up in the sky having a big fight, him and the villain, and they're like, blocks apart, and the villain starts monologuing, and then it cuts to Shazam, and you just don't hear anything, and he's yelling, "Hey, you're too far away. I can't hear anything you're saying right now."
Oh yeah, I
And
remember.
it's
Yeah.
like because I thought the same thing on every rewatch. I'm like, you didn't see that.
Especially with like even like at the distance, if there was nothing in between you, let alone this gigantic creature peacocking in front of you.
Question for you, Chad, because another thing I posed on PlayStation when we were playing was this movie is basically a remake of a classic. Do you know? I said we'll see if you know what movie it is. Do you know what movie that's refers to?
Seabiscuit?
No, because I don't remember the question, so I wasn't paying attention enough.
Another thing I love about this movie is it's just Jaws.
Yeah,
It's Jaws, but it's an alien.
No
instead
one
of a
at any
shark.
point says they need a bigger boat or really a bigger anything.
But they say we need another horse, and that's about as close as you're going to get in that landlocked environment.
I would have loved the line, "We need a bigger horse."
That'd have been something.
But it does get points for having the title of the movie as a line when he
Multiple
opens
times.
Yeah. Nope.
yeah.
That scene was so funny.
No.
I'm just gonna sit here. Look, fuck it. You think I'm moving?
So I remember like watching this trailer in the parking lot of MJR before we were going to see, I think, Elvis maybe. And as soon as the title of the movie came up at the end of the trailer, I was like, well, yep, nope, not watching that. Then I guess I had to.
So with the title too, he was on, I think it was Smartless, and Will Arnett asked him if he could guess what the title means, and Jordan Peele was like, "Go for it. People have been trying, and no one's gotten it." And he just goes, "Does it stand for not of planet Earth?" And Jordan Peele's like, "Well, fuck. Okay." So
I didn't even think the title. I didn't even think the title meant anything. I just thought it meant like nope, like
yeah, that was apparently what it was. Like it obviously applies to the movie in various different ways, but that was his like sort of hidden meaning in the title of the movie.
Truthfully, the way I took it was I was kind of thinking of it like because I've heard like the joke from like black comedians talk about like how like in the horror movies, like the white people are the ones who go investigate the noise, and the black people are gonna be like, no, I'm not doing that. Nope. That's how I took it. Of like he's not gonna, like he's not gonna go look into the danger like like you'd see in a traditional horror film. But no, I enjoy it a lot. I think I haven't seen Us yet. I don't know if I like. I think I still would say I like Get Out better. But that's without like anything negative about this movie. I just think Get Out it's just a little more contained. It's a little more. I think it works better as more of a horror film. Where this one felt, like I said, a little more of a, like I said, yeah, I guess it felt like Jaws, I guess in that regard, yeah. Which, Jaws was, I think I would probably say I was more afraid of Jaws, but it wasn't even, it was also I was younger, but I also wasn't necessarily afraid of Jaws as much as I was getting eaten by a shark suddenly. But no, here's the thing. I wish I could say I was afraid of the ocean. But I didn't see the ocean until I was in my 20s, so I had no concept of the ocean. For me, this is going to sound really dumb. It sounds even worse. My carpet in my room was blue. So in my mind,
I 100% understand that.
Jaws was under my bed. And I had to get in that
bed.
Well, maybe not, because then you had more space to be under the bed.
Oh, shit, that's true.
But I need to get on that bed, or I need to get out of that room.
So a couple more thoughts here. Just little things that I love about this movie. And this one I'm proud of because I haven't seen anybody else say it. At the beginning, when they first meet Jupe, when they go up into up into his office and they're talking, and Kiki Palmer's asking if she can, Emerald's asking if she can look at stuff, and he says, "Yeah, sure, Sukasa Mikasa," which typically you say Mikasa Sukasa, like my house is your house, but he says your house is my house, which is on theme with the way he treats these creatures the whole time of like, no, like I'm in charge here. I can handle this. Even though the only reason he's even alive is because the tablecloth covered his face, so the monkey couldn't see. Like they weren't making that direct eye contact, and that was the moment he felt chosen, and like he had this sort of power over these predator animals. And that was just a little thing I really enjoyed. Another note that's been talked about a bunch when Kiki Palmer's doing her speech at the beginning, and she said, that man was our great great grandfather. And OJ says, another great. She goes, yep, another great. And you think like, oh, it's just unprofessional. But then later you see them watching a video of their dad giving the speech. And you realize, no, she didn't mess up. She has just seen him do it so much that she memorized the speech. When her father said it, it was his great great grandfather. But she's another generation down. So she has to add that other great that she just didn't think of because she was just doing what her dad did. And that's another, just a touch that he added that I really liked. The kids showing up and pranking OJ after they stole the horse. That whole scene. Where'd you get yours? And Angel coming and being like, you can go now. And then being like, you don't live here. Like, don't speak. Angel as a character, by the way, loved him. Loved the way that your first introduction with him is like, oh, fuck this kid. And then by the end, he's so endearing. His scene with Antlers up on the hill. The idea to wrap himself in barbed wire before he gets sucked up was awesome. Antlers singing one eye, one horn, giant purple people eater in that voice is... Yeah, he's great.
Did I miss a scene where, because I know they contact Ant, but do they send him anything or tell him exactly anything what's going on? Because he comes in. Oh, do they? Because I must have missed this scene because I was watching and I was like, because he shows up and he's like, that cloud hasn't moved. I'm like, buddy, you are very paranoid if you show up to people's houses. I'm being like, your cloud hasn't moved in a minute. You know? You're all right.
Yeah. But yeah, when they talk to him at first, he has two great lines where Emerald tells him, like, first she says it's reality, and he's like, ugh, reality. And then OJ says, tell him documentary. And she says that, and he goes, well, that's better. And she goes, it's pretty low budget. We don't have much in terms of budget. And he goes, I tend to do one for them so I can do one for me. And I'm like, love that as just like a little learn more about this guy in a quick line. But then the best line is she's kind of explaining it, and she's like, we want to get the impossible shot. And he pauses for a second and goes, that's impossible. It's, like, because again, Jordan Peele, very funny. And there is there's humor mixed throughout all of his movies in a way that works really well. And there are a few lines like that I thought were really good. But yeah, then, he shows up, and as like a director and this like cinematographer, the fact that he immediately, looking over the landscape, notices that cloud's not moving is, I think, again, great for the character. I love that his name is Antlers. That's cool. I asked Lori if we could put that on a list of baby names, and she said no. But, that's fair.
Well, has she seen the movie, though?
Yes, we saw it together. She does not like it as much as I do.
What a bummer.
Yeah, also, Jupe shouting out Chris Kattan, really giving him a little bit of shine on this was a nice thing. The sketch in question, like that, there's no like direct sketch, but there is a Saturday Night Live sketch where he plays a monkey who goes crazy. Features The Rock in that sketch, which means there are two places The Rock is indirectly addressed when they also talk about a horse being used on Scorpion King before they were replaced with camels. So
The
that's
Rock,
just a little fun note.
The Rock is in this world.
Yes.
Well, where was she? Where was he? Action hero. Nowhere to be found.
Yeah. The little, like the nods to this being like a Western, and Peele has talked about the sort of erasure of the Black Western and how, you know, especially in today's day and age where you just get like white Republican porn as they're on the 5th spin-off of Yellowstone. And it's just like, yeah, there was more to the culture than what we're seeing now.
Yellowstone opens up. I want to point out. Yellowstone opens up with Kevin Costner talking kind of down to his lawyer's son, as if like, you know, I'm a cowboy man. But as he's getting into his helicopter, that's like the first scene. I remember like that.
That's what I'm saying. Everyone wants to be like this, like new age country star sort of cowboy, where it's like you get to pretend to be a cowboy when you leave the house, but then you go to a mansion. And if you have any sort of farm, it's run by 45 different people. You don't do a second's work. That's the
I'm
kind
gonna tell you
of
right now.
country these people want to be.
Everyone wants to give shit to people driving cyber trucks, and I'm not trying to excuse them, but everyone wants to give shit to them. No one I don't hear anyone complain about people in trucks with the fucking Yellowstone Ranch decals on them, like they're fucking playing dress up.
And they're in Metro Detroit.
Yeah, no, literally, like in Chesterfield, New Baltimore, you know. But
I will say, the one thing that the boomers got right is that the cowboy aesthetic is pretty awesome.
Yeah,
I do love a good cowboy, like an authentic cowboy.
did they get it right, or did they just steal it from the last generation and ruin it?
well, but
Always
they picked a good thing to steal.
Yeah,
I'm just mad they got to it first.
yeah.
I'm trying to think if there's any other like themes that the movie addressed that I didn't bring up that I want to talk about.
There's one thing involving the jupe on the Gordy set. The two things that I didn't understand. Why were the balloons popping?
They hit the lights.
Okay. I couldn't tell. They just seemed to be popping out of nowhere, and I was like,
Could
why?
have also been the heat from the lights. Maybe if they're, you know, I don't know if that was a factor, but like those lights do get really fucking hot.
Yeah. And then, did you notice the shoe being straight up?
Yes.
Yeah.
What did that mean? Why?
Didn't he have it also in his
office? Yes.
Was it maybe it was a match cut? I forget. Maybe it was a match cut.
I think that was supposed to just because at the beginning, and the tagline for this movie is, I believe it's "What's a Bad Miracle,"
and I think where's my shoe?
Well, yeah, that was the secondary, and I think it was just supposed to be like one of those things that he, you know, this kid watches that happen. Again, it keeps coming back to the theme of him feeling like I was chosen by this predator, and then he sees that shoe standing there, and it was just sort of like there's simply no way kind of thing.
It could almost be like his memory showing you, like, look at how he's taken away the complete wrong message from what happened.
Yeah. Instead of being like, you need to be careful and respect the rules of these animals, he saw it as, oh no, I should control. Like I should be the one to do it. Like even shown like at the end before he dies, the misunderstanding, you see his, by the way, incredible jacket, which on the back had the decal of the UFO with like the tractor beams underneath. And it's like, you can see the ship, and it's like, he even was just like, no, it's a ship, because he didn't understand it. But he didn't need to understand it because he felt like he was chosen to present this to people. And it keeps coming back to that theme.
You know, I would have loved to see them explore. I would have loved to see them explore any maybe conflicting feelings between going to that event with I forget her name, but the one his co-star, from the show. The
Mary
injured
Lou.
woman. Yeah, Mary Lou. How she shows up. She's at the showing. I think she's killed by it.
She
Which
definitely
almost
is.
yeah. I forget. I forget if that's where the one that she was at. And I don't know. I would have liked to see like almost the same way I would have when I think about like the drama. I would have loved to see the actual conversation between the cousin and I forget the other character's name. The other Rachel's character. I would have liked to see that conversation because she ends up going to the wedding. So I would have liked if that was a genuine thing. Like you know what I mean? Like I don't know. I think some of that could have been interesting if it was explored, but maybe that would have just been too on the nose.
I can see that.
But I not like that. I still think where you I guess how would you rank? I haven't seen Us yet, but how would you rank? Because he's only got the 3, right? Or has he got a 4th one?
He has these 3, and then he was. I thought everyone thought he was directing him, but then it turned out he just produced him, which I haven't seen yet. But it's not a Jordan Peele movie, so just the 3.
Okay. How would you rank the 3? Where would you put? How would you do it?
So for me, it's firmly Nope at first, Get Out at 2, and Us at 3. I think Us is by far the scariest. It is deeply unsettling. It is frightening at points, and it is just never stops being creepy, even at its moments of humor.
Get ready, Chad. No, I'm kidding.
No, I have to veto that one.
There's one veto.
I'm easing Chad into horror. It's gonna happen. It's gonna make you get to a point where you're like, I'm okay with it.
We haven't even discussed the veto clause.
Well, I've negotiated in my own head.
But yeah, it's just it doesn't. I don't think it quite works as well as the other 2 do, because like those I think the message is clear in Get Out and in Nope, and it works like really well, and it fits into the story naturally and good and everything. Us, I don't quite think nails it. I think it's a great horror movie because it's very scary. I think the message is good. I just don't think they fully like interlock how they're supposed to.
Chad, can I just say I appreciate that you're still committing to using the camera?
So I'll tell you guys after. So yeah.
So I think the one other scene I want to mention, because it makes me smile every time, when Antlers shows up and he's like, "We don't have to worry. I have this camera, non-electric," and M goes, "See, I told you he'd come up with a non-electrical camera," and then they just go like 4 times in a row. It's just like, it makes me smile, and I'm like,
you did. There was definitely a very I did feel like they were siblings.
Yeah, like fully these 2 actors who I know, recognize immediately, and love in various projects, fully bought into the fact that of course they're siblings.
Yeah,
they like have such a natural sibling relationship,
and I feel like they used Keith David even in the perfect amount, to where it was like when I finally realized he was because I feel like too much of Keith David would have taken that's Keith David. And I feel like I feel like they kind of kept him around long enough for me to be like, oh, that's Keith David. And now Keith David's gone.
And then that one little flashback where it's just enough for him to like remember the info he needs, another moment of like remembering his dad, and then you're moving forward. Like I said, I could always have more Keith David, but I agree. I think he was used like very well for what the movie needed.
Yeah, I think really, regardless of what you think, I feel like of the film, I just think it's a masterclass in filmmaking. You know, you can just tell the care and the detail that he put and the thought that he puts into it, and it shows up in every shot, and it just shows up in how it looks. And I feel like there's so many times where movies come out today where I'm just like, it's not all the time, but it's frequent enough to where it's annoying, to where you watch it and you're just like, I want to watch a movie and be like, wow, that looks really good. If I have to think about the cinematography outside of that, it's a bummer. You know, when you walk in, you look at it and you're just like, everything just looks flat or lit the same, or it's just
Yeah, who
it's
did
kind
the
of
lighting in
boring.
this office? Why does it look like that? Like Devil Wears Prada 2. When we saw that, there were a few scenes in the studio for the magazine, and it was just like, there's no world where you guys have your office lit like that.
It's
That's
like
crazy.
sometimes where you're like,
That's,
this doesn't look like a movie. It doesn't look like a amateur, like a YouTube film. It looks like it's new, this new shitty
I
thing.
think it kind of, because like back in the day, that's what amateur movies looked like, or like fan films and stuff. The lighting was more in tone with what we have today, to where
I mean, it's
sometimes
nothing
you'll see a
closer to
movie
that.
and it's like, why does this look rough? And it's like, that's because that's just the choice everybody's making now.
I really hope, and I was telling this to my buddy Ian. I hope this happens. I think that with the reaction AI is getting, I'm hoping that eventually I think they'll go for a few years where they'll go in the wrong direction. But I would love to see that if eventually they start going like what can Hollywood do that no one else can do? They can shoot on location. They can shoot with film. They can shoot with they could do practical effect. They can afford practical effects. I'd love to see them start going back to like when you see AI now, when you see CGI, it actually makes you think, oh, this is kind of amateur. This is actually more lower budget, you know. And I'd love to see them go back to more classic filmmaking techniques.
Especially even now, you watch a movie from 15 years ago shot on film, and it's just like, it's gorgeous compared to what we have
and
today. It is unbelievable.
And the sets they build, and
Yeah.
you know, no, they do, there's such a contrast between just films from from the 90s to today.
You know what? I genuinely think, and this might sound crazy, I think it looks worse when you have characters talking and the background is clearly CGI'd. I think that looks worse than back in the day where it would be like a painted wall. Because at least that's stylized, and they're doing something with it.
And it's
like
there.
Muddy CGI, not sometimes CGI, I guess, but the muddy, like just special effect. Oh, it's the hills of Los Angeles behind him. It's like, fuck off. That looks so. The hills of Los Angeles are 4 minutes from where you're shooting. You couldn't go get B-roll of the city. You have to, like, it kills me.
I agree completely.
Before we get too far ahead, let's give our ratings for Nope. I will go first and surprise no one when I say 5 stars. Like I said, this is a top 10 horror movie for me. Maybe top 5, truthfully. Every time I watch it, I like it more than the time before. I watched it, so we record Thursday. This movie got chosen as our film of the week. I watched it Friday, and then I watched it Monday, and then I watched it yesterday. When I was going to watch it Monday, I was excited to watch it again, having just watched it 3 days before. I love it so much.
It literally, I like the film, but it sounds like you had like the complete opposite viewing experience.
Yeah, when you guys were
We did.
like, it was such a rough week, and I was struggling to watch it. I'm like, I was struggling not to watch it.
Chad and I are putting it on for our third time to finish the first viewing. You're on your third viewing. Like, so I want to give it a 4, but because I know that my viewing of it because I watched it before and I loved it, but I think because I know my viewing of it was skewed this time, I wasn't as into it, and it wasn't because of the movie, it was because of me. I'm going to bump it to a 4.5 just because I know that I'm probably not giving it the, I'm going to say 4. I'm going to factor that in. I'm going to give it a 4.5.
Alrighty. I'm gonna give it a 4, and I don't really have a good reason why it's not higher. It's just
I mean, it could just be that you're not a big horror fan. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
There was one other thing is maybe it was just whatever I was listening on. The audio was a little weird for me sometimes. Like the lines coming through were way too loud than what they should have been.
I think that was a you thing, because I like when you look up reviews for this movie, one of the main things I see in all of them was like the sound design was incredible.
So there's a difference between the sound design, though. I feel like I feel like there's a difference between sound design and if he's saying he had trouble hearing it. because the sound
I
design.
guess that's valid.
Because they're probably talking about the creature, the sound for the animal, for the creature, which was pretty dope.
It wasn't that I couldn't hear it; it was I was hearing it too well. Like
Okay.
it was coming too clearly. Like there should have been like wind noises or something. I don't know.
Christopher Nolan just got a migraine. He was like, "What does that mean?"
Yeah, I would like you felt like there was like you kept like looking out your window to be like, this feels too close.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, that might have just been me, and I'm 100% willing to. That's my excuse. It was my personal.
Have you had that? Have you had that with any other films on the device you watched it on? You think, or is it
Not that I can think of?
I mean, sometimes I mean, it's not. I can't also dispute like if you're like really any modern film to be like I couldn't really hear it. Like yeah, probably. Like I feel like sound every film I watch is like what? Put the subtitles on. What are they saying? Say it again.
So, yeah.
Is it my turn this week for
It is. It is
For
your
the
turn
prompts,
to
yes.
pick.
for the prompts? So now I feel a little bad this week because the prompts I feel like the prompts themselves I feel like aren't good, but I don't think that takes away from the movies.
Okay, really setting the bar high as we go into this.
Well, I mean, I was trying to think about how to describe these movies, and I couldn't come up with anything clever, so I just was like, these aren't going to be the greatest prompts, but I think the movies are still good. First one is an Adam Sandler movie that I'd like to revisit as an adult.
Okay.
Or maybe an Adam Sandler performance, you could say. The same one, if it's a similar one, is a Billy Bob Thornton performance I'd like to revisit as an adult. These weren't kids' movies. I just watched them when I was a kid. And then the last one is this one's a better prompt. A movie that I recently saw slandered on TikTok. It was just the caption of it was just like something about like how the movie was bad or dumb or something. I just was like, I've seen the movie twice. Once when I was a kid, once I want to say post-COVID, if not 2018, and I liked it again. But I was like, let's watch it again maybe, and see if that's see if the TikToker, see who's right, me or the TikToker. I'm going to tell you all three movies anyway because I just can't. I can't help it.
Oh, we know. Chad, do you want to guess any of them before we?
The only one I have a guess for is the Adam Sandler one.
I don't think you're going to guess the Adam Sandler one.
Okay.
What's your guess for it though?
Punch Drunk Love.
No, but I do need to watch that. I actually haven't seen that one yet, but I do need.
I'm going to guess for the Billy Bob Thornton one. Is it Tombstone?
No, but interesting choice. Because I wouldn't even count that as like a Billy Bob Thornton. Like, that would be such a cop.
Well, that's why I won't lie. I just looked up his movies and I was like, ooh, I wonder if it's like a tricky one.
That one,
I'm definitely leaning towards the TikTok one though.
Yeah, sure. I feel like that's the wild card. Like it could be about.
It could be an Adam Sandler or a Billy Bob Thornton movie.
Actually, yeah. So the movie that I recently saw slandered on TikTok is Next of Kin. Have you guys seen that one?
No. I don't even think I've heard of it.
It's with Patrick Swayze and Liam Neeson. It's about there's three brothers. One of them is killed by like a mafia, and Patrick Swayze plays a cop, and he's one of the brothers, and then Liam Neeson plays like kind of the other brother who's kind of like a Appalachian like kind of guy from the hills type thing. And they kind of want to get their revenge for the death of their brother.
I
Bill
gotta
Paxton's
say,
in it.
It looks good. This poster is atrocious. This poster is so crazy bad. You have giant Patrick Swayze, and then in the bottom corner, you're like, and put the rest of the cast in the corner. We want them on screen. We don't want taking up any real estate.
They look like figurines. It makes me think about that John Mulaney joke when he's like, a big ass H.
Yep. And then just says Patrick Swayze, Next of Kin, and they really knew where their bread was buttered.
Yeah. You could tell who had the best year prior to this film coming out.
That's so funny. Yeah, I've never even heard of this movie, so I'm excited.
I watched it when I was a kid with my dad, and I liked it a lot. And I will tell you just a single. I might be paraphrasing. I'm going to tell you just a line from the movie. And this was kind of the movie. It was like I watched as a kid. I don't think I watched the whole thing of this movie. I think I just watched like chunks of it when I was a kid. But I remember this line from it. And then when I grew up, it made me kind of just like, oh man, I gotta watch that. What was that movie? You know what they? Anyway, the thing is, there's a woman who is whose husband, she's pregnant, and her husband is murdered. And she saw who did it, and the cops come to her, and they're asking her like, what, can you help us find the person who did it? And she's like, I'm only going to tell one person. And they ask her who, and she points down to her pregnant belly. And that's kind of like I would say that's like the theme of the movie in a way. Family revenge. The other two movies, which I will just have to find new prompts for because I'm going to bring them up again. The Billy Bob Thornton one was Sling Blade. And the Adam Sandler one is Rain on Me.
I don't know Rain on Me.
Rain on Me is the one where it's with Don Cheadle. It's where they're friends. They're like long lost. They're like friends from college, and they bump into each other. And Don Cheadle's like the main character, but Adam Sandler, he lost his family in 9/11. And like he's like going through it, and like he's like coping through playing like this video game. But it's one of his more
there, brother.
It's one of his more sincere roles. So honestly, just worth a watch if you're looking to watch something. Also.
Yeah, that's gonna go on my watch list. That sounds very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I like a more serious Sandler performance.
It's a good one. It's a good one for sure. But yeah, Next of Kin.
All right. Well, we will see you all next week for Next of Kin. Here from Cinema Ministry, we have been the Comrades. I was in the middle.
I thought you were saying or the Comrades of Cinema.
No.
We should just start listing each one. You could find us by the
every time we come up with a new name, it's like or potentially this one.
Just nicknames. There's just a list of nicknames.
Yeah. But yeah, we will see you all next week as we discuss Next of Kin, amongst other things. Till then, I have been and will be Josh.
I am still Brennan, but mulling it over.
And I'm Chad.
Bye, everybody.